Hello everybody. It's time for another Beyond the Field, and of course, as you know by now, Michael Bevan is going to be with us in a few minutes. It's a nice return to some form of media for the great Michael Bevan. I use the term great with complete justice. What a player he was, yeah. The game was never over until you got Michael Bevan. Hello to Om, hello to Shoaib and Ravdeep and everyone else joining in. We are at the business end of Beyond the Field, and therefore it's only right that we bring in one of the greatest finishers the game has ever seen. So that is to say that yes, there aren't going to be too many more, but maybe just enough to keep you engaged. You shouldn't do too much of a good thing also. So I hope I can get the right balance. Hello to Krish Bagwe, my good friend. I hope things are good in your part of the world, Krish. Ravdeep says, if I have to pick two ODI batsmen to play for my life, I'd pick Bevan and Dhoni without doubt. That's probably a conversation that we will have about finishing and whatnot. He's got a very simple take on it, Michael Bevan. It's almost like Dhoni, where if you ever ask him a question about, they always think he could win or pressure getting to him, and you'll find very simple answers. Stuff like, I remember asking him about it, and he said, there are times when we genuinely think we don't think we can win the game. So, it's one of those things. It's not like belief and whatnot. You play it by ball and then you see how it goes. But yeah, that's a conversation that we will have with the great Michael Bevan. Anirudh says he's been one of my childhood heroes while watching cricket. Thank you for having him. Yeah, it's my pleasure. He's a hard man to get hold of, which is the first thing I'll probably tell him. And he's not very social media savvy as well, or he's not present on social media. Maybe he is savvy, we'll find out. So yeah. Akshay Lumba, my good friend Akshay from the UK. How things there, buddy? Nice work. Have enjoyed these lives. My pleasure. I'm glad you've been watching. And of course, who have I had from England? I've just had Graham Swan so far, right? Have I missed anybody? And Ashley Giles, of course. There's another English national coming up next on Beyond the Field. I'll reveal that at the end of the video, at the end of the live. So do stay tuned for that. Abhishek Iyer, my dear brother, says always felt the Indian side lacked a finisher like Bevan until MS arrived. I think the world lacked a player like Michael Bevan, wasn't he? Not too many teams boasted of that sort of consistency, even though there were the likes of Lance Klusener and maybe a few others, but that even Klusener you'd say was great in a shorter period of time. The way Michael Bevan managed to play that role was just, few like him, right? And at least for any of those 90s kids that grew up watching cricket then and even playing those cards, I was discussing that with some of my friends the other day, that you used to always wait for the Michael Bevan card because that was a card that you could always win with average. So anyway, which Indian player would Bevo pick if he had to at his times? That's a good question. Klusener and somewhat Keynes. Yeah, Chris Keynes was there. Not that I don't want to say anything more, but anyway. Yeah. Rahul says average 67. I thought Bevan's average was 61 at the time that those cards were at their peak. I could be wrong. But anyway. He was the Yokozuna of trump cards. Yeah, that's right, Siddharth Lodha. Rupam says Mike Bevan redefined batting lower down. And yes, average was almost 56. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope we can get this sorted. I haven't done a test with them. I was supposed to do one yesterday, but it's been a crazy couple of days. So yeah, some of you might have seen on my Insta stories, I've got a nice new little pup that's keeping me busy. And that's hard work, man. So don't think pups are just like playing. And Dhruv, one of the many people who've tried their heart and soul into making me look good, used to be a trainer of mine, Dhruv, and a good friend of mine. He says, looking lean and mean. No, man, this is just a good angle. Instagram's cameras are very kind, and I'm wearing this snug sort of t-shirt, so please do not be confused. Please not be confused by that. Rupam says next InstaLive with pup, as in with Michael Clark or like with the actual dog. Yeah, she's here. She's just sort of in the next room. I've locked her up for now. I haven't locked her up alone, but anyway. Suketu is here, who's been great with the edits. I must give a shout out to Suketu. I must give him a very expensive gift once all of this is over, but I know exactly what can buy Suketu's gratitude off. So yeah, let me just make sure that our good friend Mr. Bevan is on the right track. I'm on it. Just so I've texted him now. I'm hoping he will get this right. And yeah, we've got just a few more coming up on this. This is going to be the 20th Beyond the Field InstaLive. So yeah, this is already 20 in a season is already quite a heavy season. But yeah, like I said, we are approaching the fag end, so good chance that you're going to enjoy these a little later. Someone's just joined now. Scott's Watch asking who's the guest. Yeah, right. So the guest is Michael Bevan. He's going to be on soon. And yeah, I put out the post the day before in case some of you just watch the Insta Lives and don't actually watch the posts. Then I do a little bit of storytelling on these people. So in case you ever feel like reading that, you could get a bit of a heads up before the actual conversation that we do have on the Insta Live. So feel free. So yes, you should also tell me which ones you've enjoyed so far. I mean, send me that in feedback. I'm trying to think of all the fun moments we've had on this Insta Live, and I think Graham Swan was obviously hilarious. I quite enjoyed Ajit's as well. He was very candid. Sanjay made me sing. Other than that, it was really good fun. Rahul, as much as the technological disaster that we saw, it was still a memorable one, so to speak. It was also the first. Lots of laughs with Sean Tate and Ashley Giles, and so yeah, let me know. Manu is here saying please ask him about some not so known finishers. Alright, he's here, so let's get him on. Just getting you on, Bevo, just getting you on. Yeah, alright. So I've sent you the request, Bevo. This should work. Let's hope. Sydney's a fairly reliable internet connection. All right, mate. I've got you. All you need to do is turn the camera, flip your camera. Just take the front camera on. Just hit the... Yeah, perfect.
Hey.
Well done. There you are.
Good. Thanks, mate. Sorry, I was challenged technologically with technology there.
I have had dinosaurs that are way ahead of you in this, mate. At least you have Instagram. I've done this with Ian Chappell where he had to download Instagram. Then you had Rahul Dravid who's not even on WhatsApp. So you are very good, Bevo. Don't worry about it. You figured it out. You're a fast learner. How are you doing, mate?
I'm going well, mate. I'm just I'm extremely overjoyed to have 50 followers on Instagram. So
I must start.
How are you?
I'm good.
Sorry?
No.
How's the pup going? Is everything under control?
Oh, mate, she's hard work. This whole thing about it's the first time I've had one, and you think that they're all cute and cuddly, but Jesus, it's hard work, man. Are you a dog person? Have you had them in the past?
Yeah, I've had 3 white fluffy things in the past. I don't know their breed or anything like that, but they look cute. They're hard work, a little bit like children, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll hopefully take a call on whether I want to go through this with the child in the future. But for now, the pups more than enough. I'm doing great, mate. Thank you. What about you? Everyone's safe and good. And I'm hearing and reading Australia is looking like it's getting back to normal. Things good in your part of the world now?
Pretty good. It's been a pretty tough time, hasn't it, for the last couple of months? Lockdown. It seems to affect everyone, and we're just coming out the other side. And fingers crossed, we can resume sort of normal life. Now the lockdown's finished, and everyone's breathing a sigh of relief. So it's it's a better place to be in now than what it was a month or so ago, for sure.
All right, brilliant. Now I must start.
And I'm getting old too. So I'm 50 now. So I'm one of those that can get it more easily.
No, I don't think 50 goes in the vulnerable category. But yeah, belated wishes. You've turned 50 last month. What was that like?
The same as 49, really.
And for a man who does his best work after 50, I think your best years are ahead of you now, Michael Bevan. But yeah, well done. I saved that one up. It's not impromptu. I did save it up. I thought of it and I saved it up for you. But I must ask you, like you did mention, you've got the 50 followers on Instagram, and you're delighted. But you aren't visible to the world in cricket. We have Aussies that are plastered on our TV screens almost every opportunity they get when it comes to working on cricket. But you're not one of those. You like your life outside of the cricket world. What keeps you away from social media, Bevo?
Oh, look, I mean, I must admit, I've been on social media before. I've been on Twitter, and I suppose I don't like idle or general chit chat, if that makes sense. I like deep conversation and interesting conversation, and so it's not so much that I don't dislike it. It's just that I prefer to be doing other things than being on social media. And cricket-wise, yes, no, not coached in India or been to India for quite a while now. Obviously, I have been across after my playing career, but it's been quite a while now. And so I suppose what keeps me busy, I sit in front of my computer and sort of look at the markets, either real estate markets or financial markets, and it's hard work, but it passes the time for me during day, and I work from home, and so I quite enjoy the lifestyle where I live in Manly, Sydney. So no, I've got plenty of things to do.
Yeah, I know. I remember that puts a bit of pressure on me, Bevo. If you're saying you don't like general chit chat, I better keep this conversation good. Otherwise, you're just gonna you're gonna fly away pretty soon. But I must. Was that 2014 tour when we worked for the first time together? Was that your last visit to India?
When was that? Sorry.
2014 is when we worked together for the first time in the Test series when India were in Australia. You had come to Bangalore at the time. So was that the first time? Was that the last time you were in India?
I think so. I did a little coaching stint there one stage.
With Orissa.
Maybe in the Orissa. That was short-lived. And then one further to that, which was also really short-lived. And so that sort of wrapped up my coaching stints in India, and haven't been back since. No.
I have no idea how that Orissa gig happened. It was so random in a way, because Orissa is not one of our top first-class teams, and we have very few international overseas coaches. And then there was that time when you landed up in Orissa. How did that happen?
There was a fitness trainer when I coached in the ICL back in sort of the 2007, 2008, something like that. I had an Indian fitness trainer, and we happened to do quite well during that tournament and those tournaments. And he became the fitness trainer for Orissa and mentioned that I might be good for the job. And so that's sort of how it came about. And it was a funny one. It was, look, it was I pretty much was. I guess I joined as coach and director in cricket and had pretty much say over everything. And then it was meant to be for 2 years, and then it sort of lasted a couple of months. We didn't get great results, and it just finished up, and both parties went their separate ways. So yeah.
Sure. No, but I don't think you should be spending 2 years in Orissa, to be honest. Yeah, there are better parts of the world to be spending time in than there. And you're in a very pretty part of the world. For a lot of people that were asking me, why does Michael Bevan not show up as much on media gigs or commentary gigs as much as other cricketers of his time? I think it's fair to tell a few people watching now that you're not just an ex-cricketer. You are a real estate magnate, aren't you? You own pretty much everything that you can see on one side of Manly Beach, is what I've heard.
Yeah, and I've definitely perpetuated that myth for sure. Well, look, you got to remember when we first started playing cricket. I played my first Shield match in 1990, maybe 89, 90 for South Australia, and we got paid I think $500 per match, and there was 10 matches for the season. And so at the time I thought it was pretty good, but no, look, I've always had a love for property, and I was an investor from an early age, and not so much nowadays. And I certainly not a mogul or anything like that, but I do quite enjoy it, and it keeps me busy for an hour or two a day looking through the markets and things like that. So I'm not sure where you've got your information from.
I can just tell you that there were people that shared a dressing room with you. So they could either be pulling your leg, or they could have some amount of reality with them. The other thing that they did tell me, speaking of what I've heard of you from your teammates, and this was something I found very interesting. I don't know if we ever brought it up when we were working together in 2014 or 15, is that you were very hard on yourself when you played. When you batted, if you ever sort of got it wrong or you got out cheaply, which wasn't very often, but you used to get mad with yourself. And I know very few cricketers that are like that. Is that a more honest assessment, that you set really high standards and were quite angry at yourself when you didn't do well?
Yeah, look, I think that's probably an understatement. Throughout my sort of early part of my career, I put an enormous expectation on myself and did get quite angry when things didn't go well for me. And, at the time I didn't really think much of it, but, as my career progressed, I definitely learnt to settle down and to roll with the punches and to be a bit more forgiving of myself. And I don't think that was a trait that really lent itself to helping me out most of the time, a lot of the time. And so I was fortunate that by the end of my career, I sort of, hopefully was more normalised in terms of, the pressure I put on myself and the expectations and all that sort of stuff. But no, you were correct, and it did happen a lot at the start of my career for sure.
All right, I'm guessing it was a fun sight for everyone else, at least. Have a go at yourself, because I know that the other Aussie boys tend to take great delight in in those sorts of things. Do you ever remember a time when it got really bad though? I'm trying to think of whether Anil Kumble has times when he's broken parts of the dressing room. Ashwin has said he locks himself up in a room. There are all sorts of stories about cricketers. They can look back at them fondly now, but do you remember how bad it ever got?
Well, look, there is an alleged story saying that I after I got out, I pretty much just went into the showers fully kitted out with the whites on and the pads and just had a shower. That's hearsay. I think I was playing league cricket in England once, and I got out, and this was when I was 21 or 22, and then I got out and I just left the ground and went and watched a movie.
So that is a myth, because I have heard this story. You're right. I have heard this, that you went into the shower with your entire kit, pads included, whatnot, and you decided to have a shower.
Look, I can't categorically rule it out, but I can't categorically remember it either. So it'll have to remain a myth for the moment.
That's good enough for me. I think we'd rather have that image of you, and we'd assume that it did happen. Lots of questions coming your way now. This is from Sharang. What was the sweeter World Cup win, 99 or 2003? Can you pick one?
There are huge differences between both wins. The 1990 World Cup win, we'd gone into the tournament probably as favourites or outside favourites. There was a little bit of discord within the team when we first arrived in England. We lost a couple of games early that put us under pressure. Now, to win the World Cup, I think we lost two matches in the first three, or maybe two in a row. So to win the World Cup, given it had a Super 6 stage or knockout stage, we had to win 7 matches in a row to win the World Cup. And at that point in time, I'd only ever been part of an Australian team that had won 3 matches in a row. So the magnitude of the achievement in 99, I think, was stronger and far outweighed 2003. By the time we were at 2003, we were a Schmick team, polished, regarded as one of the best, for the last number of years. And I think there was a few scares in 2003, but we were kind of expected to win, I think, because of just the type of cricket that we'd built up and our sort of win ratio, etc. So, look, I would say 1999 for me was one of the best events that I was associated with, because throughout that time, so many people put their hand up. You had Steve Waugh's knock in Headingley, 125 on a dodgy pitch, needing to win the match, and he played amazingly. Then you had Warnie's heroics in the semi-final, and And by the time we got to the final, we'd been through so much, we kind of knew we'd probably win that one. So 99 was the favourite tournament for me out of those two.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. In 2003, I think y'all were invincible. I don't think there was a close game in that World Cup. It got worse in 2007. That was, of course, a far more advanced Australian team. But yeah, I like what you say about 99. This is another one from Dharmik. Do Australia have a finisher in ODI cricket currently? They seem to struggle in the 2019 World Cup to finish the innings off, even if when they got great starts. What do you make of the current team, Bevo?
You're probably asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, how much cricket do you watch?
I don't watch any.
Yeah, I was just going to come to that.
I don't watch any cricket at all. I usually watch football or soccer in Australia. I watch the New South Wales team or the Sydney team, and I watch the Waratahs playing rugby union, and I watch rugby union, but I don't really watch that much cricket. So I'm probably not the guy to ask about whether or not they've got a finisher at the moment. But look, I think one of the issues that I've seen when I do watch the game at times, particularly in 2020 cricket, is that, look, Australia have got a tremendous amount of talent and some really fantastic four hitters and six hitters. And look, whilst the game has progressed obviously markedly in terms of the scoring rates, you still need to know when to pull the trigger and when not to pull the trigger, and you've got to have kind of two parts to your game, and you've got to feel comfortable playing both. And so it just seems to me that whilst we've got a really talented team and the lineup is really good, they're all very similar players, if that makes sense. But so, you know, I'm not 100% sure, and you know, but that was my observations when the little time I was watching the Australian team. Yeah.
So I know that there are a lot of cricketers that actually hate watching cricket even when they're playing. And now I know a lot of cricketers after their retirement, they just don't want to watch cricket at all. Were you always the kind that didn't really want to watch too much cricket, and of late that's just happened that you prefer watching other sports?
No. I was actually one of the ones that loved watching the game when we were batting. I would really pay attention to every detail and how our batters would approach it and what the opposition bowlers were trying to do and what was going on in the match. I'm a bit analytical like that and observant, and so I quite enjoy that. And even if I'm coaching, like my most preferred times is actually watching cricket. So I find the practice is a little bit of a burden and the meeting's a bit of a burden. But when we get to the game, I actually love watching the game because I can see what's going on around me and make observations about what's happening and why it's happening and all those types of things. So, and even when I've been coaching district cricket in Sydney over the last few years, I really enjoy the Saturdays where I go off and watch all the different grade sides and that's the enjoyable part for me.
Yeah, so maybe just international cricket isn't as much fun to watch anymore as it was maybe 15, 20 years back.
Well, look, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I apart from when I was playing, of course, I think that no, look, I mean, I don't get out to watch matches, but I did go and watch a 2020 match. Not too long ago, but it was the first match I'd watched for a while. And look, I was astounded and amazed by how hard these guys hit the ball now. And I think because I was away from the game for quite a while, it just really dawned on me, and it was so clear that how powerful and the batsmen are at the moment and how hard they hit the ball. So I thought it was really exciting when I went out and watched it. A number of months back. But
This is the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is perhaps the serious cricket bit, but we look at finishing over the years, and India has got this obsession now with finishing ever since MS Dhoni became the player that he was. Otherwise, there was a great comment that came before you joined on this, that most teams didn't actually have a player like you in their ODI side when Australia did, at your peak. And that sort of changed when Yuvraj and Dhoni played for India. Lance Klusener did it for a slightly shorter period of time, you think, for South Africa. But I must ask you whether you, from what you've seen of the game over the last 15 years, actually think finishing has changed in role, in definition, in the kind of players that we call finishers. Has it changed in any way? Is it harder, easier than it was, say, when you played?
Yeah, look, I mean, I believe that I was sort of one of the first or the pioneers with that type of approach. And
Yeah.
up until that point in time, I mean, one day cricket was changing really dramatically, it was changing quite quickly. And generally what happened in the last 5 or 10 overs of the match, back in the mid-90s, was every batsman would come out and just try and hit the ball as far as they could. And it was kind of a given that it didn't matter if they got out because that was the period of the game where you're allowed to go out. I didn't really know it at the time, but it was kind of my approach. Maybe my risk-averse nature,
Yeah, sure.
that allowed me to plot and plan what I was trying to achieve and how I was trying to achieve it, and I suppose just be very meticulous about how I was going to help Australia win the match, and the types of shots to the different types of bowlers I needed to play. Of course, what's changed since I finished, and it's changed quite dramatically, is the run rate required. So, as a finisher now, clearly you have to have a far higher strike rate. But I mean, for me, the term finisher is not synonymous with myself or MS or Hussey, or to me, everyone's got their own style and they should finish with their own style. And so, look, I kept it to the last ball to win the match, but if you can finish it off with five overs to go or 3 overs to go, well, that's still called finishing the match. And so the reality is that everyone's got a certain style, a certain way they approach their game, and it can be equally successful. And so the key is just to sort of understand, how you do it.
And I mean, we had this recent interview where Rahul Dravid was talking about MS Dhoni, and he said there came a point towards the end where Dhoni gave you the impression that the outcome of the game actually didn't matter when he was batting, and that in a way perhaps helped him to finish games off better. Does that make any sense to you?
Perfect sense. Look, one of my goals wasn't to win the game for my country, it was to be there at the end. And inevitably what happens then is that you win some matches and you lose some matches. But you're never going to win a match unless you're there at the end. And as a number 6 batsman, that's part of your role. And so you have to make peace with yourself that you're going to be seen as the one that either wins the match or loses the match. And so, no, that comment makes perfect sense to me, because I think that's a truism, I think.
Well, all right, brilliant. And there's a good question coming from Ravdeep saying, if you were a current ODI player, would you need to make changes to your game to cope with what the demands of the game are today? Do you think you would have been as successful, or there are tweaks that you need to make when you play the game today?
Look, yes, of course. I mean, when I first started playing in mid-90s, I was kind of the guy with a higher strike rate than the incumbents, guys like Boone, Taylor, those types of guys. And then by the time I got to the end of my career, I had guys like Clark, Simons, Hussey, who were outscoring me. And so what you have to try and do is add strokes or shots to your repertoire and increase your range of skills just to survive, really, because the younger players or the younger generation are way ahead of you. So I think quite often people say to me, how would you have gone with T20 cricket? Or they say, you would have been a great T20 player. But look, I would have had to have worked hard at increasing my strike rate and letting go. Look, I could have been a success, but I would have had to have made changes, and I would have had to have changed my mindset to, I think, become a successful T20 cricket player, because I think maybe there's a bigger jump from one-day cricket to T20 cricket than sort of Test cricket to one-day cricket.
Sure.
Well, at least when I was playing anyway. So Yeah, look, I would have had to have made changes, and I would have had to have tried to increase my strike rate. Would have had to add skills to my game,
Yeah,
and
I think
that's
you would have
that,
I think you would have still made it, mate. I mean, you were good enough. That, and not to mention the all-round abilities are in high demand these days. Some of your left arm wrist spin would have come in very handy in an IPL side or in a BBL side.
well, you get hit for six anyway. So I mean,
Yeah, sure, sure. Why not? I'm just trying to think now as I look back at the times that we did work together. That 2015 World Cup was great fun. The setup, I didn't actually like the World Cup as much. I thought it was a bit boring, but with just a few good games. But at least it was brilliant at Macquarie Point, and it was your part of the world. The only unfortunate part, if at all, was I remember you and me had some real shocking fixtures. You in particular. I think they gifted you an Ireland, Afghanistan. There was a UAE and a Scotland and whatnot thrown in. There were a few England games as well, and back then England was not a team that you wanted to watch. So, did you remember that? You remember that slightly unfriendly roster that you got?
uh, yeah. Look, I mean, mate, I'm a pro. I just comment on what I see. Um, albeit maybe a lazy commentator or a cricket pundit, because I wouldn't research the matches too well. So
Yeah,
my overall impression is that whenever I didn't know enough, I just had to really make general
yeah, sure,
statements.
sure. I
That was my theory.
Yeah, no, it was good. I remember that's what I was there for, to make sure that if you start getting all the research and all right, people like me won't have a job. But no, maybe it's because we watch some of that rubbish cricket that you don't want to watch any more cricket anymore. And I completely understand if that is the case. But it was a good gig, wasn't it? The one in 2015. We joined up for a chat at the end at Manly. There was a whole big group together. That was a pretty good gig. Good part of the world, Sydney, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, Sydney has some anywhere around the water in Sydney is magnificent. I mean, particularly the harbour, but the beaches as well. And
Yeah.
look, we are pretty fortunate, to live in a pretty nice city. So
Yeah, sure.
it was nice to have hosted it, or to have a home game for me. And so, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, oh, I loved it, man. It's been the best work gig I think we can ever have, and God knows when we'll ever be able to travel like that again with the times that we're in. So great stuff. Great that we managed to get that sort of gig. The other thing that I did want to talk to you about before we wind up and I move to the rapid fire was if a lot of questions on that one standout innings that you think that you remember most fondly, and I guess New Year's Day '96 has to be right up there against the West Indies. There's also the game at the MCG against New Zealand in 2002, I think it was. But if I have to ask you, do you remember one standout innings that you really felt better off or remember more sweetly than others?
Um, yeah, I probably remember two, and even though I was known, and I probably became known as a finisher in New Year's Day 1996, and that's kind of when I arrived. The match that
Yeah,
you mentioned against New Zealand
yeah,
was, I don't know, was it 2001, 2002, somewhere around
yeah,
then, but that was actually a match that I was far more fond of and proud of, for a number of reasons. The total that we were chasing was, I think it was close to 250, and I think we were, couldn't have been 6 for 40, could have maybe 4 for 60, I don't know, something like that. But
yeah,
so the circumstance was pretty tough in terms of the match situation and what we were trying to chase. But we also had to win that match to remain alive for a chance to play in our home series final,
yeah,
which
yeah,
kind of never happened. So we were under a tremendous amount of pressure to win that game, and I found myself in this predicament, and a lot of runs to chase, a lot of wickets down, and so I was particularly proud of that one. But I guess the memory I have of that is that I played with so many special players. I played with Warne, Waugh, McGrath, Gilchrist, and quite often I would just watch them and be amazed at how good they were. But on that particular day, after I'd won that match, I walked off and I just kind of saw the look in their eyes about what I'd achieved.
mm,
And it just sort of made me tingle. And and that was my overriding memory about how my teammates were, how amazed they were at, and the way they were looking at me. So I think that was pretty special for me. The other one, which was for completely different reasons, was
Sure.
the Asian 11 match versus the World 11 match. You know, and I was known as a sort of a conservative one-day player, and here I reeled off 180 off 130. But I think we were on our way to South Africa at the time, and we arrived the night before, so we had no trainings, no warm-ups. We just got to the ground, played, jet-lagged, and I suppose it just really gave me the chance. I felt a lot freer. I didn't sort of place any expectations on myself like I would normally do to win the match for Australia. And look, I just found myself playing shots that I would never play, that I was capable of playing, but never played because I was just relaxed and I let go, and I was really unconcerned about the outcome. And so, pound for pound, that's probably the best I've ever hit them in an international game. And so for me, it was just completely different.
I'm trying to think of whether that Asia 11, that's an innings we all remember very fondly. Did they finally give that game international status, or did they not give it international status at the end? Because I think you might want to have a word with someone at the ICC to try and tweak that a little. There was no international status to that game, and that's what a lot of people are now commenting. So I think that you were robbed of 185 good runs in your international career.
Yeah, well, it would have lifted my strike rate from 75 to 76.
Yeah, fair enough. Brilliant. So, Bevan, this is now the end of our chat, and I do something that I do with all our guests, and that's a rapid fire. So, you know how the drill works. You just got to say the first thing that comes to your mind, and you could just be the lazy analyst that you've said you are if you want, but you got to be as quick as you can. You all set, mate?
Okay.
Brilliant. And if you say anything that gets you into trouble, it doesn't matter because no one's going to find you anyway once you're off this InstaLive. You're never going to be back for a long, long time. All right. Let's go. If you weren't a cricketer, Bevan, what do you think you would have been?
PE teacher.
Okay. If you had to pick one English cricketer to spend the lockdown with, who do you pick?
Darren Goff.
Okay. One food item you cannot get enough of.
Oats.
Okay. Best film or web series that you've seen off late?
The Last Dance.
Yeah, very good. Best captain you played under?
Mark Taylor.
Biggest influence on your cricket career?
I would say my fellow teammates.
Okay. Smartest cricketing brain according to you?
I would say Warney.
Mm-hmm. Who has the best sense of humor in cricket according to you?
And apart from me, probably Damien Fleming.
Okay. One holiday destination you can keep visiting again and again?
New Zealand.
All right. One current day batsman you would have loved to bat alongside?
I'll take any of them. I'd
Fair
love
enough.
to be playing in this day and age.
One innings you remember most fondly? You've just told me that New Zealand 2002. One sportsman from another sport that you'd love to meet someday?
Good question. Well, it's got to be from soccer, or it's got to be from the union.
You can name a couple if you want. Someone that you really want to meet that you haven't met yet.
Yeah. No, look, I think that given I've been just watching The Last Dance, maybe Dennis Rodman.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Toughest bowler you ever faced?
Sakleen Mushtaq.
Okay. Time to pick the SCG or the NCG?
SCG.
That probably answers the next one. Sydney or Melbourne?
Sydney.
All right. Touring England or touring India? What was more fun?
I would say England.
Okay. 50 over cricket or 2020? What's more fun to watch?
2020 cricket.
Smith or Kohli?
What type game are we talking about?
Just go whatever type you're gonna pick
Oh,
different ones.
gee,
Are you gonna pick one for
that
test
is
and
a
one?
that is a tough one.
All right.
Both magnificent players. Um, 50-50. No idea.
Okay, fair
Both
enough.
amazing
If
players.
you had to pick one batsman to bat for your life, who would you pick?
I think it would have been Steve Waugh.
Okay. Oh, I forgot the best. This or this. Beer or wine?
Whiskey.
Good man. Very good man. All right. Complete the following ifs. If Michael Bevan played in the IPL, he would have.
Torn a hamstring.
All right. MS Dhoni or Lance Klusener, your preferred partner at the other end in a tense chase?
No, I think MS was an amazing finisher, so I'll go with MS. Yeah.
Fair enough. And the first thing that comes to mind when I say the IPL?
Not much.
Okay, the ICL.
Yeah, not much. IPL. Oh, look, I haven't watched it for such a long
All
time.
right. What about the ICL?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was the start. It was the start of the IPL.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's it. That's it. That's a good one. All right, the 99 World Cup.
Mind blowing.
The 2003 World Cup.
Easy.
Steve Waugh.
Tough.
Shane Warne.
Confident.
Ricky Ponting.
Australian great.
Okay, Cricinfo.
My favourite cricket website when
Well
I
done, mate.
never go on.
When you visited once every 6 months.
Yep.
All right, and lastly, me. Good memories of me, mate?
No, not really. Oh, sorry, that's 3 words. That's 3 words. 4 words.
All right, brilliant. This
Yes,
has
of
been great
course.
fun, mate.
Yes, of course. I can only do 2 words. Yes, of course. 3 words. There you go.
Fantastic. No, that's all right.
That's not
Brilliant,
a
mate.
strong point.
That's all right. Bevan, this has been great fun. It's been such a privilege to catch up with you. It's great to see you doing well. You don't look anything near 50, mate. So that's a good thing. Or maybe it's just the brilliant headgear that you've gone on. But good wishes to you, mate. You've enjoyed this, I hope.
I have, mate. Thanks for having me on, and good luck with everything. And mate, look, maybe we'll catch up face to face at some stage. So,
Sure.
how do I get off this thing?
I'll just close it right now. You'll be off, and you could then. I thought you said your girlfriend helps you out with Instagram, so maybe she's the boss. Then you could take it from there.
Aren't they always? Okay,
All
mate.
right. Cheers, Bevo. Take care. Pleasure. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Okay, that was fun from Michael Bevan. He's such a good talker on the game and keeps it simple and straightforward, very honest. So hope you enjoyed that. Full chat will be up on IGTV as well as YouTube by the end of the night. And we can just watch out for details on the next one. I could give it to you now. It's on Tuesday. Isha Guha will be on next. So do join us then. She's in high demand now, the new face of BBC TMS going forward. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Very thoughtful from Michael Bevan on cricket, and yeah, took his time, like Abhishek saying, he took his time, but I think he gave you plenty that you can take from this. So cheers, guys. Have a lovely few days, and we will speak again soon. Until then, stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.